Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. Um, my name's Chandler. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who do know and were able to attend a prior session that I hosted, your favorite host is back. So, welcome to the lottery management you can bet on without losing your hair section. Before we get started, we'd like to take a few moments to review the chat functionality. We also want to let you know that if you do have any software issues, you're going to want to go ahead and message the bird at scribsoft.com. So that's going to be where you'll want to send any technical issues if you have any problems with during the session. So, who do we have on the docket today? We have some exciting things. We have the Mr. Tommy Struzes, as well as the Dr. Christine A. Davis, joined by Kareem Wesselhoff, the Supervisor of Advanced Academics and Specialty Programs at Prince Williams County Public Schools. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to them, and they're going to give you a fantastic presentation.
Hey, there we go. Hey, everyone. Can you guys see and hear us? Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today. We have a kind of a special session here today. We have two of my most favorite people in the world, Karima and Christine. Christine is actually came to us from Brevard County Public Schools in Florida. She was the pilot for the Scrib Choice platform, and she kind of helped us design it. And so then a few years ago, we said, hey, why don't you come on board over here? So she's an excellent resource. And Karima, of course, is from Prince William County Schools and in Virginia. And she went live with her choice programs last year for the first time. We're going into the second year. And so I felt like this was a good opportunity to kind of do a little interview and discuss, some things about the implementation and how things are going, and sort of, just kind of things like that, sort of in a conversational type of way. And so, Karima, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you joining in. You and I have spoken a lot about all of these topics, so we probably both, already know the answers to these questions that I'm going to ask you. So don't feel put on the spot. So the first thing that I kind of want to touch on first is describe briefly as you can, what you were doing before and what problems you were trying to solve by moving to our platform versus how you were doing business before in the choice world.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me. So we have over 40 programs in our division, and what I call PK, so pre-Karima, they had various application systems. So, 5-10 years ago, they were doing paper. Last, I would say 6, 7, or 8 years before then, they were doing an online database. And how we got to here is when I came on in 2020 during the pandemic, we were about a week into our program going live, and we had a database breach. And so that exposed a lot of our students' information. And so IT, who originally created our database, said they couldn't recreate the breach. And so therefore they wouldn't put our application portal back, or our database back up. And so I very quickly, in a week, built out a very extensive branching Microsoft Forms to get kids to apply. And it was like, I love me some Microsoft Forms in Excel, but it was a test of all of my abilities. And it was fine for a year as a really stopgap measure, but it really wasn't something that was sustainable. It wasn't really an access or an opportunity that we could keep long term. It would, there was no way to keep that data secure. There was no way to, every time you went in the system and like Control F, if somebody pressed the delete button or the back button, we lost information. And so we really just needed something that was more robust, that had more capabilities than what we were doing, and something that would be safe enough that we could centralize all of our applications to make it, one, equitable for all of our families, but also make it easy and be able, something that we can check year after year after year, because we were having a few compliance issues as well. So that's how we got to you guys. And I think we're letters. So
right. I remember us, the first few conversations we had was about the stopgap that you built and how how bad it was. I mean, it was good. It was nice for what you had, but yeah, I mean, it was for the volume that you guys are doing. It's definitely moving over to our platform. I think helped you guys
significantly, for sure.
So because you did things a certain way, and then you had a stopgap year, and then you came to our platform, there was really like 3 different processes for parents over several years. How did you guys help prepare your families for our platform, for the new platform coming up, versus the old? What did you guys do, if anything?
So I would say we got lucky in that we rode on the wave of COVID and virtual learning. So like there were some good things that came out of COVID. And so we started holding virtual sessions. And prior to going to your platform, we held 3 division-wide ones a year. So we did a middle school one, and then one Eastern high school and one Western high school. And if you missed it, you missed it. And so what we did instead is we went centrally through Zoom, and we did all of our information sessions through Zoom, and we walked our families through the application process in that general information session. I will say for us, one of the big key pieces was we communicated a lot. We communicated often. We communicated using all of our communication devices. So we use Canvas, we use email, we use all of our communication devices, and we did volume. So we did the there's no opportunity for you to miss a session. So last year, between October 7th and February 1st, we did 55 information sessions for families. And it was a lot, and we were very tired. But on the backside of that is that there wasn't one family that was missed. There were families that claimed that they were missed, but they weren't missed. And we were able to record the sessions and post them online. And then the last couple of weeks, we then embedded 3 hours a day where we did family support. So they could jump in on Zoom when they were available. And we took them into a breakout room so they could share the screen that they were seeing. And we were able to address their individual issues. And oftentimes it was something that was so simple, but when you can't see their screen, that makes it really difficult to help them over the phone. So that was our tactic, offer a lot of opportunities and give them a one-on-one support.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's something that you guys did a lot, and we should probably take some tips from you in regards to that, because what you guys did was very above and beyond what I would even expect. So it's really commendable how you guys handled that. In that regard, how did your families react to the new process, to all the sessions and being online, and especially during the COVID period? How was the temperature kind of with families, and what was their thoughts?
Yeah, so a lot of our families said they really appreciated that we took the time. What they said the best feedback we received were from the one-on-one health sessions. There were families that were like, "Oh, I was clicking this button wrong, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get there." And being able to sit down and talk to us one-on-one, they loved that. And so this year we've already built that into our session. So we built it in all throughout the year so that we're not kind of jumbled at the end right before they apply.
Yeah.
A lot of our families, because we're very long county, so we go from east of 95 to west of 66, for those of you who know Virginia, Northern Virginia area. And so we have families, and transportation becomes a big issue sometimes for some of our families. So being able to do it virtually was really important. I'll tell you, the feedback from my office was awesome, because what our team did is, what families will do is they miss the session and they're like, "I missed the session. I'm so sorry. Can you tell me about all 40 of your programs?" And I'm like,
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
have time. And so it was nice to be able to go put them on say, "Oh, we posted it here." And a lot of times families were like, we used to do it on paper. And I remember that when my first kid went through, and then my last kid went through, and we did this really wonky thing. And what do we do? And so I was able to direct them and say, "Look, if you go to this video at 30 minutes, watch that video. I'm not offended if you watch it in time and a half, and then come back to me with questions." And so that really addressed a lot of our families' needs. They were very excited and very supported. I mean, you always get the feedback on the "I didn't know," but I shared with families the number of times we did it and the number of opportunities. Every single one apologized and we're like, "We're so sorry. We don't know how we missed it." But it also gave us an opportunity to drive some traffic to our website. and told them, hey, keep an eye here. This is where you're going to go. This is when we're opening up. And so now we're already out in the community hearing chatter. Like, I got an email just a few minutes before we jumped on that was like, I know this is coming up soon. When's it coming? And so I was really lucky to be like, guess what? It's going to go live on our website tomorrow. So families know now to look for it. And our biggest word of mouth is our families, right? They're sitting at the pool, they're sitting at the baseball game, and they're sharing all of this information. And so I love having that information out and having it out accurately.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. I mean, so, we went live for the 22-23 school year. That was the first school year that we went live with. I kind of want to contrast that question and take it to Christine for a second, because Christine went live with these processes years prior to you. There was no Zoom right at that point. This was 2012, I think. Christine was maybe the first year.
Yeah, something way back then.
So in contrast with Karima's side, do you recall how your families reacted to the process way back in 2012, 2013? Was it a different reaction, or how do you remember that?
The families were actually really positive. Of our county, like Karima's, we're very long and narrow as well here in Florida. We have 86 schools doing applications and lottery. So it was very hard. In fact, that's why we came to you guys, because of the paper process. It actually had my administrative secretary had a nervous breakdown because of trying to shuffle all that paperwork and doing all that by hand. So needless to say, we went to an electronic platform. We were able to roll it out a little differently. We didn't do it whole district wide with 86 schools. We kind of rolled it out saying, okay, these 10 schools are what we call choice schools. You can only get into them through a lottery process, meeting certain entrance criteria. So we did more of a slow entrance to our families. So by the second year, word of mouth again got around that we're doing this. And so now we added our secondary schools because they had the career and technical education programs to apply for. And then the third year, we added our elementary schools for our open enrollment processes. So again, each year you advertise more. At that time, again, there was some cell phones, but it wasn't your standard, it's on my hip constantly type of a thing. We tried, there wasn't a Facebook, there wasn't a Twitter thing. So you really it was on marquees. We did word of mouth. We put it on our district's website. We did at that time print flyers out that we sent home as we rolled out to different schools. So, I mean, nowadays you have QR codes you could give to parents that we could set up for you, and they can scan it and go right to your page. They don't even have to know the website, things like that. So a little bit different, a little bit less tech, but it worked really well. We had a lot of positive feedback from families. We too had information nights, things like that, as well as times we actually set up kiosks at each school and had someone at the school be available to help those parents. Even today you have those grandparents raising children and they don't know the technology,
right?
So that they're there. We also have here in Florida very, very high multicultural populations. So now Scribbles has the Google Translator going into over 106 different languages. Back then it wasn't there. So we had Spanish interpreters and those. We
yes,
also
I
have
remember.
Chinese and Mandarin interpreters, because those are our higher populations there available for those populations as needed. But again, now it's all online. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, they're probably used to it by now after all
families.
these years.
Oh, yeah. They know, like you said, you're using it second year. We've been using it more than 10 years. They know it's coming up. And once you get your system set up, the best thing I could do is try to be consistent with your timelines, your platforms, things like that, because your parents know. And if all of a sudden I switched from secondary applying in October to elementary applying in October, you're going to miss those families because they get, we're complacent. We get used to our timelines, our schedules, what comes around secular every year.
Exactly.
So,
And that's all from the word of mouth aspect right there. And that's actually a good question that I want to ask Karima as well. So, word of mouth is a big deal, right? I mean, I'm a parent. I talk to other parents in the neighborhood, and that's how we find out stuff, right? So based on word of mouth, do you think that you're going to have a lot of changes this year based on just feedback from parents? I mean, is the changes that we're making to the process feedback based on the parent side? What kind of...
No, I think we're not going to have very many changes, right? The families understand, they get it, they appreciate it. I will tell you, probably their biggest plus that they like is being able to go back in and look at their decision over
Right.
and over and over again, right? And we have those families that want to check every single day just to check, and we tell them we're not going to be there yet. So process wise, we probably won't change. Our changes are really more, we're adding a couple programs, we're clarifying some wording. We have a couple of families who have expressed some, so to give a little more background on what we were doing, we have a couple of schools that fall into a true lottery in that they only have X number of seats to give.
Right.
And so most of the feedback is from those families. But there's where all of our feedback always comes from. And really, they're more concerned with like, how can I have more seats at school A, which I can't create seats. And so that really wasn't a big, that's not really something for me to consider.
Yeah.
They would like to know some procedural things like where do we sit on the wait list, where our division doesn't release where they sit on the wait list, where other divisions do. And so just that's really our biggest feedback that we have as far as things they want to change procedurally.
Nice. So I think what I heard you say was we got it right the first time, basically, right?
That's right.
That's
There were
good.
a lot of emails back and forth, but it was worth it.
Yeah. So this brings me kind of to the next thing I want to ask about is program managers on your side. There's a lot of people dealing with these programs. How did your internal program managers react to the new process versus the old?
Relationships go a very long way. So I would always say start there. So we started talking to you guys once our computer, like our program crashed, right?
Yeah.
And so it was really easy for us I started telling the coordinators right away, look, I'm building this by hand. This is, where the plane's in the air and the wing is not quite on yet. We're adding super glue as we're going. And so they were ready and really supportive of like anything to make Karima feel better than what she's doing. So when we first rolled out, like, this is what it should look like, that was in the spring. I want to say it was near April after we'd finished our last season with the stopgap measures. So they were ready and they were prepared. And then once we knew what we were looking at and knew how we were going to address all of the pieces of it, I mean, they were 100% on board. We knew by the beginning of the school year that this was a big change. And so they'd already heard about all of the capabilities, even though we couldn't quite touch it yet because we hadn't fully built it yet. They were prepared. And so we didn't have the like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Also, for us, it meant that a lot of the work that used to fall on them now falls on my office. And so anytime that you're taking things off of people's plate, they'd love you. And so we took off some, we go through and we run their lotteries for them. They tell us exactly how many kids, we make all the offers for them. We do everything centrally. And then in our student management system, we have a little spot where we say what program they're in. And previously the schools had to do it. And so we had inaccurate information. My office now does it completely for everybody in the division. And so when you take that level of work off people's plate, they don't complain about very much.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, you definitely took a lot of work. I remember we were, me, you, and Kelly were running the lotteries, and it was just us three, right? I mean, that's what we did. And so, I do that with several other clients. There's a client on this call right now that I do that with every year. So, it's just part of what we do and what we like to do. We like to take work from everybody else and just give it to us, and we can work with you guys to do whatever we need to do. So we're almost at time here. Just a couple other things I want to ask.
Sure.
When jumping in, this might be a kind of a loaded question.
Okay.
But when jumping in, what was a concern that you had that we completely squashed when going live? Was there anything that you were concerned about, maybe wouldn't work, that ended up working swimmingly?
I just remember, I don't exactly remember what the issue was, but I just kept remember saying like, Tommy, I'm really worried. And you were like, don't worry, don't worry. And I'm like, no, but I'm really worried. And I think I was concerned. So I'm a person that will start a project without knowing exactly what the end's going to look like. For people who
Yep.
need to know the whole picture, that can be really difficult. And so for us, that was probably the most like heartburn that we had is like we know we can do this, we just don't know what that looks like. So when we're trying to explain technicalities, it was difficult to do at the time. But very early on, you said, Karima, trust me, it's fine. And I was like, we're just going to give it up and hope that it's going to work out great. It can't be. Look, it honestly couldn't have been any worse than the year before. So most of my any kind of hesitation or fears, they weren't really strong fears. You guys did a great, like your team does a really good job of one, explaining what the product is, what the capabilities are, what we can and we can't do, what our timelines are going to look like, what support you're going to give us, if there's an error, what to do. And we were making changes throughout the application season, like, oh, we know we did our zoning for this school wrong, or we did this incorrectly, or we didn't think about this nuance. And so being able to change all of that right away, anytime anxiety would hit, it would be addressed almost immediately. So there wasn't enough time to work myself into a good old fashioned tizzy.
That's the perfect answer. That's what I was looking for, because I remember when we went live, that first week was good. It was fine, but we did have to pivot and make quite a bit of changes. And once that was done, man, I mean, it seemed just like everything went really smooth. There wasn't really a whole lot of issues, no technical issues. Everything was looking good. And I know that you did seem a little nervous when jumping into it the first year. Everybody does. It's just how it is, right? Because if you don't know how it's going to go. And like you said, it couldn't have been any worse than the year before. But I mean, honestly, we did what we needed to do. We got it implemented, and you did trust me, and hopefully, that trust was warranted. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was great. I mean, we talk about you fondly, and now I know you're working with some of our other partners or other departments in our school division. And I'm like, do you have Tommy? I love Tommy. You'll be great. Don't worry about it. Like, I was like, don't worry, he'll fix it.
Yeah, I will fix it. They just need to come to me. So,
yeah.
Well, Christine, do you have anything that you want to add to the conversation before we go? I know we probably only have 2 more minutes or so.
I think we lost her.
Oh, we might have lost her. So I guess my last question, and this is very, very loaded, was, are you happy with how everything turned out?
I am so happy. This is, I think, my second time I've worked with you guys in terms of like doing a presentation or webinar. We are thrilled. We can't say enough how much we really appreciate the work. In fact, this morning I was giving a presentation to our student activities directors and telling them specifically about this program and how it has really changed the work that we do, but how it makes their work significantly easier. And so we have no complaints, no questions. We also know that if anything comes up, we'll just ask. And there are things that we know we don't have capability. I can't even remember any of them, but I was like, hey, can we do this? And you're like, not yet, but we'll look into it. And so many things as we make like nuances with our programs versus other programs, you guys are willing to at least listen and entertain the conversation. And if we can't fix it right then, it usually is very quick an answer of like, we can't do that, but we can do this. And so that's what, for us, it's communication and it's relationships, and we love it, and we are extremely happy.
Awesome. Well, that's exactly the answer I was hoping for. I was hoping for. Whew. I can.
No, it was terrible. No, it was great.
Well, that's all I got for today. I wanted to have this conversation. It's been a while since you and I have spoke, and I'm glad that we got to do this in this venue. Is there anything else that you'd like to add for today? Anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, so we are just really excited in Prince William County, and we always want to offer any support that we can to you. You guys have done a really good job supporting us, so we're obviously offering that support back to you and any of your current clients or future clients. So if anybody is in need of anything, right, we'll happily share what it looks like from our side. We're happy to talk about any of the nuances. Feel free to reach out to us. We have a team of 3 now, so we've grown. Yay! And we are here for you guys. So we appreciate it, and thank you guys for getting me out of the Microsoft Forums world.
Well, again, thank you so much, Karima, for joining today. And
Of course.
yeah, that's all we got for this session. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Big thanks to you guys, Tommy, Christine, and of course, Karima. Um, that was a very interesting session. I learned quite a lot myself, I know for sure. But I'm sure everybody's ready to get to what we're really here for, the game code. So the game code for this session is going to be choice. That is CHOICE. So choice. Be sure to add it to the event game feature for a chance to win a prize. And don't forget to take the feedback survey down below. So we do have one more session today. Our final session is a Scrib Star is Born. That's you. Begins at 2:30 ET. Hope to see you there.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.